my name is Joe Jackson. I'm a journalist, author, interviewer and broadcaster. One of my recent podcasts was called Soul Searching with Christy Dignam. The Soul Searching label is usually one I prefer to apply to print interviews rather than radio, but I used it for the Christy podcast because even during a radio show about the music that influenced the guy, he touched on two highly sensitive subjects that were interlinked. What subjects? Well, let me put it the way the strap writer did for our 2004 Sunday Independent interview. It said, Christy Dignam took more than a decade to break free from the powerful grip of heroin and finally confront his long-suppressed feelings about being raped as a boy. In his biography, This is Christy Dignam, the singer-songwriter from Aslan tells with remarkable power and candour how he got his career back on track and made amends to his family. But here's the thing. Although Christy did write with remarkable candour in that bio sections about his rape experience, I don't want to fire in listeners' minds images that are needlessly graphic or trigger memories of fears. So, although I want to remain true to what Dignam told me and what's in the bio and our article, I will fade parts of this podcast. But overall, I hope it will make obvious something that is too often forgotten, namely the fact that an experience as traumatic as rape at a young age can lead later in life to an addiction as lethal as heroin addiction. We'll look a little more closely at exactly what that heroin addiction involved for Christy Dignam and clarify what he meant when he told me heroin is Satan's semen. By the way, if you want to read the article I wrote, check joejacksoninterviewer.com.
But then the other side of it is that a lot of the money you were making, you were spending on drugs. You know, I mean, I know you're not in the fucking Bay City Roller territory. I don't believe you spent 4 million, but I'd say you've spent.
What I was doing, yeah. Always spent a lot of money.
Yeah, well, the image you gave me of robbing the money from under your granny's fucking, that's a need for cash.
Yeah.
And a need for quick cash.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, there's days you need 40 quid, there's other days you'd have 1,500 quid and spend it in a day, you know.
On the jug?
On whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Because another thing is, you're buying everybody gear, you know. And here's another thing I used to have to do when I got on a bit. I was always getting whipped and stuff and beaten up by people when I'd be scoring and stuff like that, you know. And plus the police, you know, used to take me money off me and stuff to stop you going to the areas, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a mate that I used to go driving to the spot, and I'd give him the money, he'd go over and get it, and I'd have to buy. So I was keeping his habit and my habit going and stuff. So there's a lot of that sort of stuff going on.
But it is also, I don't know how true it is, you know, about record companies happily feeding. Well, I've read it.
Well, we in the States, the drugs were thrown at us.
Yeah.
We went to one place. Each state you go to, a different record rep looks after you, right? So we were in New York where we landed. The rep for New York bought an 8-ball, a Garden Gate, an 8 of Coke and 2 bottles of champagne. We got to Boston, your man says, it was looked after in New York. Your man's a lunatic, he bought us an 8 of Coke, and so he went down, bought us 2 8s of Coke and 4 bottles of champagne. So by the time we got to bleeding Los Angeles, we were fucking getting ounces of Coke thrown at us, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's a dangerous area though, even at that level, isn't it? It's fucking lethal. So you and you did feel, I think that was adding to the fucking guilt of Catherine living on her own and dealing with all this and having to keep her job and you not delivering the dream you promised.
Yeah.
You know? So these, I mean, the layers of self-esteem that were in there were being chopped at every fucking,
all the time, you know.
at every angle.
And then to live with all that shit, you took more drugs to bury all that, you know, and that's the way it goes, you know.
And you got on with momentary release. I did ask you that in the show, that the fact that when you had the baby, it didn't snap you up. But it was a great moment, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I'll never forget it. You know, you meet somebody and you fall in love with them. You meet them and you like them, you fancy them. Then you kind of go out for a while and you start liking them. Then you like them a lot, and then you love them over a period of time, right? I walked into the rotunda and Catherine is pregnant and she has this lump on her stomach, which I know from a logical perspective that's a human being, but it has no identity as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
The baby is born, and in a nanosecond you have more love than you've ever had for anything in your life for this child. You would kill for it. If somebody tried to harm that child at that moment, you would kill them stone dead. Right? And I remember even Kira was a distressed baby, like the cord was wrapped around her neck, so she came out and she was blue, right? So the doctor kind of showed it to me, the midwife showed it to me for a second, full of all the goo and afterbirth and stuff, and she was blue. Whipped her out, you know, and I'm kind of, well, you know, mopping Catherine's brow, let's say. So about 15 minutes later, they come into the cubicle and says, Mr. Dignam, your baby's outside. I walked out and there's 8 cribs and 8 babies that had been born in that few minutes. Ciara's shun out. You know those old movies you see where they put the Vaseline over the leg. And I said, all the other babies looked like ordinary babies, but she just looked, you know, and I only got a brief look at her full of goo and she, do you know what I'm saying? So,
but it was a troublesome birth though, wasn't it? It was a dangerous birth. It was a bad birth for Catherine.
Yeah, what happened was the baby were there and they had a heart monitor on the baby, and I don't know what the figures are, but say it was 110, and then it went to 105, 103, 190, and the midwife says, well, losing the baby. And Kat said, what did she say? And I said, no, I don't know, I didn't hear. No, I heard what she'd said. So he went out and whipped in a doctor and he got a vacuum birth, it was called, where he put a thing. And I remember Catherine ripping there, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, man, never feel the blood that came out of her and stuff, you know. So it was a particularly bad time, a bad birth like that.
You also, the other side to it, and we didn't talk about it on the radio show, Ciara had to suffer the kids slagging her, and your daddy's a fucking just nothing but a junkie. I mean, that must have been, if you said you'd killed somebody who'd harm her, you were harming.
I was in the house one day painting, right? And I'm painting on the landing, and Ciara was about 4 or 5 at the time, she could barely talk. And she came in, she said, Daddy, can I have a 5-pack of smack? And I'm painting, you know. I said, sorry, love, what you say? Because I obviously thought I'd heard what I thought I was hearing, you know, she said something else. I said, can I have a 5-pack of smack? And I was, where did you hear that? And she says, the boy outside said, go in and ask your dad for a 5-pack of smack. So I said, show me. So I put the thing, the paintbrush down and walked out. These gang of kids across the road, 18 or 19, and say 4 or 5 guys and girls and that, and standing a little bunch of them. So she pointed out the uncle that did it, right? And I went over, and I grabbed him by the throat, right? And I'm screaming at him that if he ever says anything like that to my daughter again, But as I'm screaming at him, I'm looking at his face going purple and black. And I'm saying, man, his face is going, in the back of my mind as I'm talking, I'm saying his face is going a weird colour. Not relating to, I'm fucking strangling the guy, you know. And I remember letting him go, and I could see the imprint of my fingers on his neck. You know, but you know, that was one incident. Another time, she was about her first boyfriend, I'd say she was about 14, and I come out to the hall door, and she was standing at the wall outside the next door neighbour's gaff, and she was kind of leaning back, and he was in her face, you know, giving it this, and I got this surge of rage up into me, right? That's 2 incidents, and here's one more just to finish it. The thing about Pascal Boland, I was saying, I was driving home every day, Joe, as I said, from gigs. I was saying it, no father, because I was just waiting for the day it was going to happen, right?
Not just hit you, they said they were going to kidnap Ciara.
No, this is what I'm saying. You're going to do this to me, right? So the next minute I hear he's going to lift Ciara off the street, right? The minute I heard that, I got a phone number for and I rang him, and I met him in a place called the Slipper in Ballymun, right? And he thought I was coming to meet him to arrange to give him money, you know? I swear to God, Joe, right? So I said, listen, I said, I'm not a gangster, I said, I'm not a hard man, I said, I'm no backup, I said, you know exactly who I am. I said, I've lived in absolute terror for the last couple of years with you bastard. I said, no, I'm telling you now, I'm telling you, lay one finger on my family and I will kill you stone fucking dead. I said, you better make sure I'm dead if you touch them. I swear to God, I said, I've lived in a terror and I'm fucking sick of it. I swear, I said, I'm not a big gangster. I said, I don't know anybody, I'm not going to threaten you with anybody. I will kill you stone fucking dead. I swear to God, John, I'm not messing.
And you would have.
Right. So if you, no doubt a shadow of it there, without a shadow, I'd have done it in front of a judge. I wouldn't have get it. There's 10 coppers standing there. Anyway, about 3 weeks later, bloke comes up to me, hardly believe you had to give 15 grand. Oh, you're sick and all this. So he was, so I thought if he used to do that to save face, fair enough.
Are you not worried though when you put that in the book? You don't mention names, you don't. Oh, he's dead, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Sure. You don't mention names in the book, and I shouldn't, should I not? No.
Don't mention names.
Do you mention names in the book?
If you have family, no, I don't.
Yeah, so I'll keep it the same. That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah,
you know,
involved,
the fact that you're going public with the stories there or here.
Anybody that knows me will know who it is. But I just don't want his sister or his brother to be able to come up to me and say, you know, that I said his name.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't.
Or that you're making him look like a gobshite.
Yeah.
But
at the same time, I just don't want, what's his name's not mentioned. I don't mind the story being told.
And has Ciara grown up well despite all this?
Ciara's great, you know, like, and that's again a lot of that is a testament to Catherine's solid kind of character, you know. Plus, I did try and keep as much as I possibly could. I know it's impossible to give her a normal childhood, but I did totally do everything in my power to keep that aspect of my life
Away from her. And that's what made it all the more painful when the whole thing was splashed all over the Star.
Yeah.
You know, I can't mention another paper in this paper, but I have to touch on that again. I mean, that must have really, everything you tried to do, which is keep it away from your dog, was all undone in one shot.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why it was important for me to have the retraction, because I wanted my mother to be able to, the neighbours that were kind of, you know, whispering in the fucking shops, I wanted her to be able to say, well, hold on there, it's not fucking true. I wanted her to be able to show, you know, the black and white evidence that the Star had.
And before, how did they know? When did they find out? With that paper article, or had they known before that? So they found out the whole thing too, even that you were doing it. All right, so you had to deal with everything at every level. And how were they then? How did they respond, just to you personally?
Well, they were disappointed and stuff, you know, and that's why I said about the day after I came out of Rutland. I went into Rutland soon after all that.
All right.
And that's when I came out. I was trying to go to them with some sort of explanation as to why I was this addict, and that's how the whole thing kicked off that I talked about earlier on.
All right. There is you do often say that you don't, and this always angers the fuck out of me. You do say, and I'm not saying you're doing it right. You come from Finglas, and it feeds into the myth that everyone from Finglas is a smack addict.
Yeah.
And you and I know that there's as many smack addicts in Killarney and Donnybrook and Foxrock and whenever the crime line or the news do anything, they always fuck off.
No, you see, you're wrong there, Joe. Killarney have recreational drug users.
All right, okay.
Finglas have addicts and junkies, you know.
All right, okay. Well, there's a lot of drugs used out in the south side.
I remember being in the Rutland Centre, right, and there was this woman there, and she's an alcoholic and a pill popper, right, and be going around to the group, and I'd say, look, my name is Peter, I'm an alcoholic. My name is John, I'm a gambler. My name is Christy, I'm a drug addict. My name is Annette, I'm chemically dependent. And it used to piss me off big time, you know.
Yeah, it depends on where you're from, doesn't it? You know, Jesus Christ. Okay, is there any way you can even sum up when you finally made yourself as clean as you could?
Yeah.
Was it the Rutland? Was it the...
No.
Right,
the Rutland didn't do really do anything for me. I wasn't ready then, you know. It was kind of where it all kind of, you have to reach, like that. I know there's a lot of cliches involved in drugs, but it is, the reason they're there is because it's true, you know. You do have to reach a rock bottom, I believe, you know.
Right.
Now, somebody described it to me like this, you know. Say from the beginning of active addiction to the end, to death. You say a trip from here to Cork in a train, right? Now you can get off at Nace or Portlaoise, or you can get off at Mallow. It's up to you when you want to get off, right?
Yeah.
And it's like getting into a ring with Mike Tyson, right? He knocks the bollocks out of you. You end up in hospital, right? But then you recover and you're saying, right, the reason he got me that time was I wasn't using my left jab enough. I'll get him this time. You go into the ring again. He knocks the bollocks out of you again. You end up in hospital and you're saying, I just haven't got my right guard up. One day you have to admit, Mike Tyson's a better fighter than you. He's going to win every time, and drugs will win every time. But it takes a while for that to kind of come home to you. Now, and for me, where it came home was, I don't know if it's in the book, but basically, I was trying to do it. I was trying to come off everything, and I was in Lanzarote, and I brought a bottle of methadone with me to withdraw myself off the drugs, and I got a huge abscess on my arse.
Oh, yeah, you did, right, okay.
Did I talk about that in the book?
Yeah, but come on, doesn't matter. Yeah. We didn't talk about that in the show, though. Yeah, but I remember that was a huge moment.
To talk about
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I went out and I couldn't...
And when you said try to get off everything, it was coke, it was...
No, I was only using heroin at this stage.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah. Like, once you see, when I tried drugs, right, I tried hash and it was pleasant. I tried coke, it was nice. When I tried heroin, I was home.
Yeah,
it was a completely different kettle of fish, do you know what I mean? So once I found heroin, I knocked everything on. I already remember slapping myself in the back by giving up hash. And I whacking heroin out of it, you know.
Yeah,
I thought it's great, you know.
So
don't drink. I used to stand on my door looking out at my neighbours coming home, look at that scumbag onto his family like that. And here am I looking out the fucking window at him. Honestly, bullshit.
Okay, so go on, you had the abscess.
So I had this abscess on my arse, right, and I couldn't do anything. It was fucking killing me. It was on fire, you know. So I went down and I got, you know, the old blades your father would use, the way you get to set fire blades in little plastic thing. Yeah. I went down and got a pack of them, right.
Was this with the family or not, or just you?
With the family, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm in the bathroom and I tried to do it 3 days on a trot, and each day I couldn't, you know. So there's the bathroom door, and there's a mirror on it, right? So I pulled down my cacks and I had a blade and I ripped the abscess, I cut the abscess, lanced it. But I had the bottle, but I hadn't got the bottle to kind of go in and get the guts of
Yeah.
it. So it was only kind
Yeah.
of superficial
Yeah.
scrapes I was doing, right? So anyway, I'm doing this, and for 3 days, I kind of get that far, and I thought, oh no. So on the third day, I'm doing it, you know, I was like, you have to just give it one, and it, you know, and I'm like that, and I'm looking back at the abscess, and just as I'm looking back, I caught a picture of my eyes, right? And me cacks around my ankles, blood pissing down my leg, eyes are fucking stoned down my head, and I'm looking, and I just got a, honest to
Yeah.
God, I'll never
Yeah.
fucking forget it.
Yeah.
It was like what you call a moment of clarity, you know. And I just thought, Jesus Christ, look why you're coming to get, you weren't fucking reared, you weren't put on this earth to fucking live like this, you know. And I came home, and I was heading towards that would have been around the same
But
period.
was that after this period of Lanzarote?
Yeah, no, yeah, see all the stuff in Bray now.
Yeah.
It was because of all that because I'd reached that point, I went to Lanzarote to try and, because I could see.
So the break thing was before Lanzarote?
Just before,
Okay,
right? So like there was a few incidences like that. That's one, right?
Yeah.
So there was a few things like that, you know, getting pulled out of the car every second day, getting strip searched, all those things, right?
Right, okay.
So all this shit was happening. I was like, look, you know, I was trying to knock this on the head, and I went to Lanzarote to try and do it, right?
All right.
So that's right. So I come back down, and I'm about a week away from. I was in the height of withdrawals, and I snapped this day. I had to get something. I legged out of the house, went down to this house, and I walked into the flat, and your mum wasn't in. I was I'm down at Hannon's corner, and I walked out the front door, and I just opened the front door, and I said, oh, whack straight into the face, copper. About 5 of them jumped on me, dragged me onto the floor, right? And they were raiding the house, you know, as I was walking out, so they thought I was at the Scorden, but your man wasn't in, you know.
All right.
So that was that. So to me, it was like a sign from fucking God. Like here was I had to been trying to give her up, and I had a weakness. I was like God saying, look, this is what your life is going to be if you do go back in there, right?
Yeah.
So I still kind of had a withdrawal. So I had this mate called John, or not mate, I had this bloke called John who was my dealer. So I'm ringing him, and I'm ringing, and I said, because I got rang, I just got my phone, John, listen, I'm in bits. He says, who is this? This is Christy. And I says, this John? He says, yeah. I was, I'm in a jocker. I said, have you anything there? He says, no, this is John from NA. I left my number with you last week.
All right.
And I went, oh, yeah, fuck.
Right.
So then I just thought, oh, right, okay, look at John. I said, I need fucking help. So this bloke came up to my house and literally latched onto me for about a month, brought me to meetings every day, and, you know, so it was...
And did that do it? As much as it can do.
Right, so I was clean then, I was clean for a couple of years, and I was doing great. Now, it was still hard, like you still wake up every day kind of thing, you know. So, Catherine got pregnant again, right, about 4 years ago. And it was because after the cervical cancer, we'd always wanted, you know, and we'd had a few miscarriages and that, you know.
Are you advised when you have cervical cancer not to get pregnant?
No, but it's just hard, you know. She was getting pregnant but having miscarriages.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she got pregnant this time, and we were getting on great, and things were cool, you know. And you know, this was the time when she was saying this was the person I was waiting to come back. This was the Christy I was waiting for. When I asked her how she stuck by me and stuff.
Yeah.
So our relationship was getting back on and all that carry on, and she got pregnant. We were going up to Spain to do some gigs. So I'm over in Spain, and she said, you don't tell anybody for the first 3 months and all. I couldn't hold me. The minute I got on the plane, lads, guess what? Yeah. Right, so it was all that, right? So I came back after, I think we were a week away in Spain or something like that, and I came back after a week, kind of, we were coming back and then going away again, and I came in, and she'd had a miscarriage that morning, and I just went, fuck, and I went out just to kill the pain of that.
Okay.
I went out and I used to kind of, and the thing is about an addict is, you can't go out and have one, you know, I can't. If I have one, it takes me fucking, it can take 5 years to stop that one, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went out to have a thing, hard get gear that day to kill the pain that was hitting me at that moment. And it took me about 2 years to get away from that one hit that I went to get that day, you know?
But you weren't, Christian, I suppose you have to look at it now. You weren't coming through for her that day, were you?
When I did that,
Yeah.
Joe,
I mean, she had her pain and you're fucking off to...
No, but you see, you don't look at it like that. I wasn't saying, right, I'm going to throw myself back into active addiction here.
Yeah.
I was saying, I'm going to go out and get pissed tonight, and then tomorrow,
I'll deal with it.
you know, I didn't realise, I really didn't kind of rationalise it that far. I did not, and had I known it was going to go there, there's no way I'd have done it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought I'd just go out, like I done all, you know, the comfort and stuff and that, and, you know, I was going away again, so I thought I'd just have a little fucking smoke and, you know, just I was in pain, you know, basically.
Yeah. But was
So-
it 2 years? Were you back
No,
on
it
the
was
treadmill?
about 10 months, let's say.
Another 10 months of just being back using it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, say if it took me 10 years to arrive at a certain point of fucking desolation from the day I started taking heroin to the day I stopped. When I went back on it, it took me about 2 weeks to arrive, where it took me 10 years to get to the last time.
All right, okay. But was this at the stage where Aslan and all had said no more gear or you're out again?
This is when we'd reformed,
Yeah.
and you know.
And you had been warned.
But it wasn't a warrant.
Oh, wasn't
thing.
that? Okay, was it not kind of a
No.
done, look, if you start not turning up late,
No,
not
it
able to
was
say.
not.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
well, I mean,
Okay.
it wasn't said in that sense, Joe. You know.
All right.
But like that, the thing was that was in the past. That behaviour was in the past when I met them, and like when we met, we didn't get together kind of in 2 seconds.
No.
We were seeing each other over a period of time, and they seen that I was back to the way I used to be. I wasn't, you know, this
All right.
fucking.
All right.
So we kind of got back together, but there was the unwritten understanding that you know I wouldn't go back there, you know, and I'd no intentions of going back there. Like, having said what Catherine put up, Aslan had put up with some shit as well,
That's
you know.
too, yeah. So at the end of that 10 months, how then did you break it?
I started going back to NA. To me,
Oh,
to
did
be
you?
honest with you, see, I'm not allowed to say this, Joe.
Oh, okay.
No, I like just explain to you, right? There's a thing called, you know, the 12 steps.
Yeah.
There's a thing called the 12 traditions of Narcotics Anonymous, right? And basically, this is what it's about. I can say I'm in a program that helps me stay away from drugs, right? And that's as much clarity I can give to the situation. The reason being, right?
Alright,
If
okay.
I say, and if you say in the paper tomorrow, if I say, I'm in NA and that's what helped me get off drugs, right? Say tomorrow I go back on gear, and there's some young fella who perhaps sees salvation in NA and then says, no, sure, Christy didn't try that and he's back on gear.
I see, right,
So for
okay.
that reason, like, it's just as part of it's it's not that I can't do it. There's no bosses in NA, but it's recommended. I would be doing a disservice to the NA program if I did that. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Okay.
So, like, I do think that a program and being absolutely honest about yourself, you have to do a moral inventory of yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Alright.
And you have to be ruthlessly honest about all your defects, all that sexual abuse thing, and that's something as well that I have.
That was a huge trigger that helped you get back in touch with who you are and need drugs less. When you finally confronted what had happened to you at 6.
Absolutely.
So that's nothing got to do with Narcotics Anonymous.
No.
It's a kind of outgrowth of a
Yeah.
moral inventory of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you didn't even choose it. It hit you.
Yeah, but it
You
doesn't
know?
matter. You see, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter why you're the person you are. It's irrelevant that it's because I got raped as a child. The fact is, this is what I am. This is what we have to deal with today.
Yeah.
This is who I am, and we have to sort it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not good to me saying, well, it's because that cunt raped me when I was a kid, and then that cunt done it a few years later. I can say pity myself. That'll drag me right back in there.
Yeah.
So I have to.
If you see yourself as a victim.
Yeah, I have to look at what happened and all that. But it's not the important thing is not what happened. The important thing is the way I reacted to what happened, and that's my fault. That's my responsibility.
All right.
Hi, Joe Jackson here again. I thank you for listening to this edition of the Joe Jackson Interviews podcast. And remember, if you want to read the article I wrote out of that chat with Christy, check joejacksoninterviewer.com.